putting work, turning nothing into something. They feelings hurt, we turning nothing into something. Give a fuck if they don't like me, cause all this bread I count excites me. Turning nothing into something, nothing into something, turning nothing into something.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on, everybody? What is going on? We're just here for a little quick, blunt thoughts. Just wanted to discuss a couple of things. Something that's been a hot topic the last few days. Not the last few days, for a while now. We always talk about this. Sometimes we let it go, then we bring it back. But it's definitely been a hot topic for about a week or so. So I've been thinking about this topic for a minute. I had a brief conversation with somebody about it. I don't even know if he remembers, at the ballpark yesterday. And then I saw him do a video last night. And I said, okay, no, he definitely has to be part of what I'm trying to do, because I had already been doing some research for it. And I wasn't even sure if he was going to join me, so I didn't even put it up on the little whack promotion that I do for the show. But I'm joined tonight, ladies and gentlemen, by my guy Keith from Shea & Sons. What's going on, Keith?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And you guys probably see this wilding out yesterday as Keith went live. I did a couple of videos going out there losing our mind with these Mets who we're not here to talk about that, but man, oh, and I guess it kind of ties into we are going to talk about. But again, it's just the no offense, the not being able to score with guys in scoring position, and it's just something that's driving all of us crazy. And again, that's kind of what I want to talk about here. And Keith, the topic is, and again, you did a video about this last night. Like I said, I mentioned a little something to you of what I've been thinking at the ballpark. I don't know if you remember, it was so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And we were having so much fun ragging on the Yankee fan. But when I watched your video last night and you talked about, Chavez and Barnes and who's in charge and how we've been successful, not been successful, I was like, ooh, I think Keith is a little bit off on his timeline. And I don't remember exactly what you said. And I don't kind of remember, but it's something like, when we hit well, Barnes was in charge. And I was like, damn, I don't really think that's how this played out. So I went and I did the research that I was doing. But just so that we know what's going on, Eric Chavez, we know all about Eric Chavez, played for the A's, I forget where else the hell he played. But Eric Chavez then, after retiring, and I want to show this to the people. Let's make this a little bit bigger because I can even barely see this. And I have it here. All right. So Eric Chavez post-playing career, right? Eric Chavez retires from the A's, then becomes a part-time analyst with Oakland, then goes and serves as a special assistant to the Yankees during the 2015 season, as you can see here, right? Then blah, 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 blah. On December of 20, does a couple of other things. December of 2021, the Yankees hired Chavez as an assistant hitting coach. I had even forgot that that's how Chavez came here. December 2021, the Yankees hired him as an assistant hitting coach, right? Then, hold on. Now I'm trying to make it bigger and I lost it. You fucking moron, Hank. Bring that down a little bit. I apologize. And I don't have Keith too long, guys, so I can't be messing up. All right. On January 6, 2022, the Mets go and hire Chavez as the hitting coach. So they took him away from the Yankees. I think that was our first thievery from the Yankees or whatever, or taking some from the Yankees during the Cohen era. So we take Eric Chavez and we hire him as the hitting coach. Then, after the 2022 season, in that same time, the Mets hired Jeremy Barnes, who had not much success, played minor leagues, then played overseas. I forget where the hell he played, in Australia. Before the 22 season, the Mets hire Barnes to the Major League coaching staff as their assistant hitting coach. Before that, he had interviewed to become the player development director, right? And instead, they ended up hiring Kevin Howard, who I think is still there, and made Barnes a newly established position of director of player development initiative. Let's not forget that. Director of player development initiative. That's what Barnes was hired for. Then he was made an assistant to Eric Chavez. So Barnes, to me, is like the analytical guy, right? So we get to 2022, and I try to have this, ladies and gentlemen, a nice little graph to show everybody, but I wasn't able to do it on time. I'm sorry, I was playing softball. And like I said, I've been doing the research, just wasn't able to put it out there. So we're gonna have to look at it like this. Let's see here. No, that's not the one. That's not the one. That's not the one. Let's go back to 2022, ladies and gentlemen, because I was trying to look. Okay, so how did we do in 2022 when Eric Chavez was the head hitting coach? In 2022. So in 2022, when we look at the Mets as an offense and we look, what do you want to look at, Keith? Let's look at hits. How did we do in hits in 2022? Holy shit. The Mets, 1,422 hits. They were 1, 2, 3, fourth in the league.
How many extra base hits though?
Huh?
You know how many extra base hits?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I'm actually curious.
No, I got you, brother. I forgot to change this. Here we go. Here we go. Like I said, I wanted to have this a little bit better, but I wasn't able to.
Ah, you're doing great, brother.
So here we go. 1,422. If you want to know extra base hits, I didn't know where we could find that here.
You know what? Click doubles. Just click doubles.
Yeah, we could add it up. We could add it up too, and we could do that. But we go to doubles, and the Mets are just above league average with 272 doubles. They are, get out of there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13th in the league.
Okay.
Right? Home runs, which the Mets, we know they're not the biggest home run hitting guys. They were below average, league average.
Yep.
171, which was about 18th, I think. I actually have that written down. I'm sorry. They were 15th in home run in 2022. So not too good. Not too good. We go to RBIs, and they were 6th at 735.
Yeah, 2022 was a very frustrating year because they were just getting, I hate to say it, but like I mean, it's not a bad thing, but the little I don't want to say the word, but the little, BS hits.
Dunks, the little dinks and dunks.
Dinks and dunks.
Like, this is not going to last. And some could say that they were proved right because at the end of the season, we already know what happened. The offense went completely dead, whatever. But I just, like I said, I just went and looked, like, how did we do in 2022 when we hired Eric Chavez as hitting coach? And so far, we are top 10 pretty much in every category, except for home runs.
Yep.
Right? We move on. What do we want to look? Even strikeouts, brother. Look where we are in strikeouts.
Yeah,
it looks like we're in the bottom of the pack, but which is really the top of the pack, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I think almost most of the time we're really good at that, but as a fan, it doesn't feel that way. But yeah,
right.
I know what you mean,
So
though. But
look at that. We were from bottom up, third in the least strikeouts, right? With 1,217. Batting average, the New York Mets were second at 259.
Well, that's because Jeff McNeil had the year of his life too. Jeff McNeil was sensational that year.
Yeah, at the same time, let's look at that.
I think even Pete had a great batting average year. He batted like 280.
Exactly. Let's look at that real quick. And I wasn't planning on it, but since you say that, let's look at that. Let's look at the guy's numbers in 2022. What do we have? Starling Marte with a 276 batting average. We're not gonna look at Alvarez. Who counts here? Shit, a Marquette, no, 245. Jeff McNeil, obviously, I'm looking, that's the wrong year. No, that's 2022. Well, that wasn't the hitting champ McNeil, right? That was 23.
No, McNeil won the batting title in 2022.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the expected batting average over here.
Stats you hate.
Yeah, exactly. That's
expected, how you know meaning make believe.
Exactly. But
shout out Jared Young.
Look what McNeil's expected was 280, and he hit 326. Right? We saw Brandon Nimmo who hit 274 that year.
The old Brandon Nimmo. Yeah.
Where's Lindor and Pete?
Lindor batted 260.
271. Francisco Lindor 270.
Lindor batted 270. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was 260, but close enough. Okay.
¿Tú me entiendes? So now,
remember though, different rules, different type of baseball playing pay too.
Yeah.
And also too, the Mets were still growing, as a team.
Right. But they did pretty damn good. On base percentage, the Mets were number 2 at 332.
They were
slugging. The Mets were 8th in the league at 412.
That was big Pete Alonso year too. I believe he had like
Right,
130 RBIs too, something like that. Yeah,
right. OPS, they were sixth,
that sounds about
744.
right. Yep.
OPS plus, which people like,
I hate
third,
it. Not a fan.
third. I don't even know what the fuck it means. Third at 113.
It
Right?
turns it from a decimal point to a whole number. That's literally all it is.
Whatever. Whatever with that bullshit. Now let's go to 2023,
Mm-hmm.
where the New York Mets decided, you know what? Oh, fuck me, man. I keep forgetting to change the screen. I'm sorry. We should have been here when I was showing those, talking about those numbers. I apologize, guys. But they're there. Believe me, they're there. I promise you, they're there. So we're going to move to 2023. In 2023, the New York Mets said, oh, people are snooping around and trying to steal Eric Chavez from us. We're going to make
I
Eric
remember that.
Chavez the bench coach.
I remember that. Yeah.
What the fuck? Why not? And if you remember, during that whole year in spaces and stuff, I kept saying the Mets should have just gave this guy a raise
I remember that. Yeah.
and kept
That's
him as
right.
the hitting coach instead of messing around. And we were saying, why did everybody was saying, where's Eric Chavez? He's the bench coach. Why doesn't he intervene? He should help these guys because the Mets was struggling in 2023. So let's look at 2023 and what the New York Mets did and how the numbers changed. You could tell me it's the balls. You could tell me it's the rules. We could tell me all of that. But since we're talking about the hitting coaches, let's see how that worked out. Oh, and let's see something I didn't look at before. But how many runs per game did the Mets average in 2022? Let's see. The New York Mets, 4.77. They were fifth in the league, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in runs per game. Let's go back to 2023, the Jeremy Barnes year. I don't even think we had an assistant hitting coach that year. That year they left this scrub by himself to be the hitting coach. So what was the first thing we looked at that you asked me for? I forgot. I don't know. But let's look at
I
runs per
forgot.
game since that's the first thing I just did. And already they were fifth already. All the way to whatever the hell this is. I'm not even going
Well,
to count.
they actually technically they dropped, but they stood the same.
What
Same
was the
number.
number? I forgot. What was the first
For
number?
something.
Okay.
They kept
So
the
it wasn't
same,
too.
but they fell way below league average. But they were still at the same amount of runs.
Okay. Now, as far as hits, they took a big drop from
Yep.
fourth in the league to 27th in the league. What the hell is
Yeah,
it?
they are.
At 1,276,
About 200 hits less. Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what it was in doubles since I didn't have it written down. But they were, look, they were at the bottom. They
Mm-hmm.
were second from the bottom. Just ahead of the Yankees at 221. Actually tied with the Yankees at 221.
Mm.
Home runs. Where the hell are the New York Mets? Probably in the bottom somewhere too. So let's start from there. Oh, actually not. In 2023 they improved in home runs.
That's all
That's the
they
only
did.
thing that they did under
That's all
Jerry
they
B.
did was
Barnes.
hit home runs. Right. That's
That's
all
the
they
only thing they
did.
did under Jerry B. Barnes, right?
Yep. That's
They
kind of his thing.
exactly. We're gonna get to that real quick. Exactly. I'm glad you touched on that. RBIs, where did they go? 19th. They dropped from 6th to 19th, from 735 to 692, bro.
Remember too, that team was very much a dumpster fire, like early on too. Like, it's funny because I remember that team. Well, before I even say what I remember that team, I look back at that team. This is kind of the words I'm looking for. I look back as that team as a great, um, like science project to kind of look at where we've gone from since. You know what I'm saying? They you look at that year, a lot of things went wrong and right for a lot of people, but for us, it's like everything that went wrong, and it was like a snow pile effect, and it just never stopped. Like, I think the most exciting thing that year was watching Ronnie Mauricio hit a baseball off a wall. That was literally it.
Right.
And Lindor doing
At the
30-30.
moment, did he get like the record speed,
Yeah,
exit
he
velocity?
did.
That yeah,
Yep.
another thing that I hate that I could care less
Pete hit
for. But
40, I think, one, which was good. Lindor hit 30-30, and then that was actually I take it back. The best part about the year was Senga. He was insane. He was sensational.
Right. I hated that year. I
Yeah, it
hated
was the
you
worst
guys
year. It was
telling
a
me
really
about
bad year.
Lindor's 30-30. I hated people telling me about Pete's 40 home runs. I hated people telling me about Nemo's 20, whatever the fuck home runs. I
That
hated
was
all
the
that
power
shit.
surge for Nemo. Yep, that
Yeah,
was
I
the
hated all
beginning of
that.
the power surge.
And
Yep.
let's sidebar to that. Well, let's finish with the numbers real quick because I want to share something with you that I
Mm-hmm.
talked about also in 2023 because it drove me crazy. But I think it goes to everything that we don't like, but some people like, but they don't realize that they don't like what they like. That makes no
That's a good
sense.
point. No, but I get you.
Strikeouts. They went from 1217 to 1331. Where the hell are they? Here they go. Bottom of the pack, right? From third to 10th. Batting average drop all the way down here to 238.
Mm-hmm.
From 2 to 26th, bro. On base percentage, they went from 332 to 316, from 2 to 20th. Slugging from 412 to 407, from 8 to 18th. And I'm not even going to highlight them because I just want to run through this shit because I want to get you out of here.
Mm-hmm.
OPS 744 to 723, dropped from 6 to 18. And everybody can see it there. Everybody can see these bums right here. Where they at? Highlighted in yellow. All for you guys. And OPS plus 99 below league average. League average is 100, right?
A lot of people was using the excuse of the first year of the pitch clock and
Yeah, yeah. Un tro de
the world
porquería.
the
Un
World
tro de
Baseball
mierda.
Classic.
Un tro de
They
mierda.
they
Well,
didn't they didn't train together enough.
this was an article in August 2025, in August 25th, 2023 by Tim Britton in The Athletic. I apologize to The Athletic. This is not for money gains. This is for nothing. We're just sharing this just for information purposes. Tim Britton, right? And this was focused on Brandon Nimmo and the whole power shit. Brandon Nimmo found his power the last time the New York Mets were in Atlanta, and I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but but there's a couple of things. A switch kind of flipped for me there, and then we said a few weeks back where I was able to be like, okay, against guys that are really talented, you can do a lot more damage with capitalizing on his mistake to hit that home run rather than just getting a single. You can take some chances more often. That more than anything has propelled Nimmo to a career high in home runs. He has 18 with 34 games left in the season. Nimmo spent his offseason working on ways to unlock more of his natural power. We felt there was some fat in the swing that could be trimmed out. Nimmo said there's blast metrics that I'm really good at and should produce home runs if hit at the right launch angle, which I fucking hate. Launch angle. So just try to maximize that and make it as efficient as possible while changing the perspective that I'd always had of putting the ball in play. Changing the perspective that I always had of putting the ball in play. And what I said before is that people think they love something, but they don't realize that they really hate what they love.
Mm.
I see a lot of people complain about we're not putting the ball in the air, why we're not launching, why we're not doing this, why we're not doing that. While I hear those same people complain about Brandon Nimmo, why Brandon Nimmo doesn't do what he did before, put the ball in play, get on base, take his walks. Now he wants to hit home runs. Well, he did what you guys, in another sentence, are saying that you want.
Right.
He tried to be that guy that you want and be a launch angle baby and put the ball in the air to try to hit home runs. This is 2023 under Jeremy Barnes. He's the man in charge. When it's on the ground or up in the air, put it in play and see what happens, he said to describe his old outlook. Whether it's on the ground or in the air, put it in play and see what happens, he said to describe his old outlook. This is more being a little bit more selective and look to drive the ball rather than just putting it in play. Those situations where you're trying to cover the whole zone and put something in play, it doesn't always help, hitting coach Jeremy Barnes said. Instead of just trying to go for a knock, you may take that borderline pitch to get to the next pitch. We talk about why do these guys look confused sometimes? Why are they taking this pitch and swinging at that? Because they're looking for that perfect pitch. In essence, sacrificing some average for some slug. Where are you fucking dope? Where is it? The numbers went down with you both in batting average and slug. They went from 8 to 18 in slug. So it didn't work. It's not working, Jeremy. You ruined my guy Brandon Nimmo, if you ask me. Ruined him. But Nimmo was all in on it though.
Don't worry, he's ruining something very much more expensive.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I did want to get on that. It's not as simple as sacrificing average for power, said Barnes. We're trying to maximize on base percentage and slugging and ultimately OPS and improve our run value.
Run value.
I want to fucking throw up. I want to throw up with this geek. But people get bent out of shape, and I can't find that article because I forget where it was. The article earlier this year with Eric Chavez.
Oh, well, Lindor had to tell him,
Lindor,
we
you know
need
what I'm
you.
saying? Where he unlocked Lindor's early that we love him right now, even though he's kind of like cooled off. But Lindor also, but this goes to what I'm trying to tell you. So 2023 was a total shit show, in my opinion, because of Jeremy Barnes.
I agree.
2024,
A lot of it fit. I think he did it was his first real shot at it, and I think it was a rough go. I agree with that.
and I think
Very rough go.
2024 started as a shit show, also because of Jeremy Barnes. Because although they realized the error of their ways, right? Let's go here real quick. Although they realized the error of their ways and said, wait a minute, we need to correct this wrong, and let's bring Chavez back in the fold as a hitting coach. This is the article that we heard about earlier this year, where Francisco Lindor had to approach Eric Chavez and say, yo, dude, where you at? We don't hear you. And Eric Chavez said, and people are killing him for this, amongst other things, where he said, I don't want to focus on launch angle. So people kill him for that. But here's your launch angle, baby, Jeremy Barnes. You like him? You like what he did to Brandon Nimmo? And we don't have time for the comments too much, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm pretty sure you guys have a lot of comments. And I would love to ask you, do you guys love what he did to Brandon Nimmo? But I know most of your answers because I talk to you guys, and I know you guys don't like it. But that's your launch angle, baby, right there.
I think so you know me, I could see things from both sides, right?
Yeah, and I try to too.
Yeah, and okay, he wants to get power, right? Cool. And Chavez is a little bit more on the side of getting the average. Okay. And I get why they have them both there, implementing both to get the best of both worlds. I think that is a problem in itself. And I think, okay, if you want to like live and die by a way, pick a way. You know what I'm saying? And then it's less confusing. And to be perfectly honest with you, I personally think that these guys, honestly, if they're so committed to whatever Barnes or Chavez is doing and they're not seeing results because it's early, then I kind of blame the players too, just as much as I'm going to blame the coaches. Because, as you know what, Hector, like we were just talking about, if we played on the same softball team, right? And you told me, yo, Keith, try this, right? And I tried it for like 2 months. I'd be like, yo, heck, you know what? It's just not working for me, but it could work for you, right? And you as a good teammate or a good coach, whatever, you'd be like, da bien, do what works for you. I don't know if that exists with the Mets. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's cool to tell a player, hey, try this launch angle thing, right? Or tell another player, try this batting average approach, right? At some point, if it doesn't work, stop it. And especially for guys who got their money already. That's the problem. Like, I can understand a guy who's trying to get paid and maybe trying to figure something out, like a Pete, right? Cool. But whatever works for you, Pete, don't let somebody try and mess up what works for you. You know what I'm saying? Especially like Pete Alonso and Nimmo too, but Nimmo got paid. But I guess just letting a guy be themselves, personally, it feels like both can be blamed, but the players right now, to me, are like, I feel like I'm watching a little league team, and I feel like you tell a little league team to do left and they do right, and I did not expect that coming into the season at all.
No, and you've hinted at a couple of things, and I said this early on. I don't think, and I could be wrong. I don't think that Juan Soto comes in and either Jeremy Barnes or Eric Chavez says, "Yo, this is what we want you to do." No, I think Juan Soto comes in and they say, "Hey, Juan, what do you need from us to be successful?" Right?
I agree
And
with
I
that.
think Juan Soto goes through his routine and everything else. Now, where I think there may be a little bit of a divide, a little bit of an issue is, and I've been talking about this a couple of times in my videos lately, is
Mm-hmm.
how do you bring in a player that is known for working counts, for being selective, for being patient, right? And it seems to me from everything that I hear that as a team, they want to be aggressive. They want to swing early in counts.
They are.
M- I've heard Mendy and them will talk about controlled aggression.
Yep.
Even though early in the
They
season when
said
we
it. They
were
say it almost every fucking day.
exactly, and early in the season we were talking about, yo, Nimmo, what the hell? First pitch, first pitch, first pitch. And
McNeil's
man,
doing it. Alvarez
right.
is doing
Well,
it.
McNeil was came up
No,
with
but
it, right?
like I even think it's like a little bit too much for him. Like
Yeah,
for a
McNeil
guy,
does it. The only
yeah.
one that wasn't doing it and said, "Yo, I don't want to do this," was Pete.
What's what? Well, you know what kills me before I go because I gotta go.
Right.
The thing that kills me, Hector, and you're gonna understand what I'm about to tell you. You may no one else may not understand it. There's nothing wrong with having a shortstop who can hit for power and average. There's nothing wrong with having a slugger first baseman. There's nothing wrong with having an outfielder who can work counts and spread the ball. There's nothing wrong with having a left fielder hit for average and for power. There's nothing wrong with having a catcher do what does whatever makes him special. Why does everybody have to be this controlled aggression?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Let
Why
everybody
do we have to
just
put
be
my bad? Go ahead.
like you. No, no, you good,
Cook, cook,
bro,
no cook.
bro. Dennis Rodman wasn't trying to take perimeter shots away from Scottie Pippen and Jordan. You know what I'm trying to say? Like Kevin Love purposely knew
Can
what
I
to
drop
do
this mic
with
for you?
Kyrie and LeBron. You know, you're gonna think I'm crazy. This team, just this year, this team. You know what this team reminds me of? Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Chris Bosh. That's what it feels like,
I
right?
heard you say that. Explain.
Yes. Wade is a Lindor. Soto's LeBron. Bosch is Pete, right? Those are the big guns. And I can explain why those guys at another time. And everything else just seems to be all over the place. Bro, if people don't remember, that team had Mike Bibby washed up. That team had Eric Dampier. That team had Mario Chom. Like, that team has so many pieces that you'll never remember. I know this is crazy comparing basketball to baseball. But when I look at this team and you look at all the kids everybody was excited to bring up, and you look at all the guys who have been here, Nimmo and McNeil, et cetera, nobody's standing out. And the guy who's starting to stand out, which is a guy nobody expected, is the guy everybody to run wanted to run out of town. And the guy now has to play second base because they want to put their original second baseman in the outfield because they got no fucking backup outfielder. Because this team wants to fucking all of a sudden mirror the Brewers when that shit does not fly here. I'm sorry, I have to let this off. I have to, and I'm gonna go. Jared Young or
Oh
whatever
my
his
god.
name is,
What? Who is this guy? You know more
bro.
than me about these non-name
He
motherfuckers. Who
they
is Jared
said,
Young?
brother, they said in 3 games that he's seen Hector. You ready for this? Controlled aggression, right, Hector?
Mm-hmm.
He's seen a lot of pitches, so we want to keep rolling with him. Pero at the end or beginning of games, you're telling me that you want the big guns to be overly aggressive, but that guy gets to bat fifth and sixth, and because he's patient. Hector,
That, that, that
I'm
doesn't make
hearing
any
like I'm
sense.
learning Japanese, Korean, Taiwanese, everything all at once. It doesn't make sense. Somebody's lying.
Yeah, that's like mixed signals right there. That's like mixed signals.
Bueno,
Gonna bring
hermano,
this guy in, but and just before you go, just to
dime.
touch, I totally agree with you, and that's what I was gonna say. To me, a good hitting coach is what Eric Chavez preaches. Is someone who's gonna maximize your tools. I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm right totally with you. Why try to make everybody a launch angle baby? Like you said, let's maximize Brandon Nimmo's tools. You want to try to extend a little bit more power, okay, but don't try to turn him into a total power hitter and take away from the great player that he was. So I'm totally with you on that, and I wish we had a little bit more time, but we can
No,
revisit
yeah,
this.
we should. We'll plan something. But real
We
quick, and
got
I'll say
something
one
in the
last thing.
works I haven't heard from, but
Mendy's getting a lot of shots thrown at him because people are so mad at
we
these
don't
hitting
understand,
coaches. Let
bro.
me tell you something, real quick before I go. Mendy's covering so many people's ass right now. It is insane. Mendy is literally, you know who Mendy's ass Mendy's covering Davis. If this team was not 12 games over 500, Davis Stearns would have a lot more press conference during the week. But because Mendy is a very good voice, Mendy's covering the bullshit. So that's just what I'm saying.
No, 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 for sure.
But no,
Um,
I
Keith,
love you, brother.
thank you,
Thank
bro.
you.
No,
I'm
for
sorry I
sure,
had to be
bro.
quick, but
No, no, you good, you good. We'll
my
try to
bad, brother.
revisit this. And I'll have the other stuff, and we got something planned. Hopefully, it goes through for. I don't want to say anything, but you already know what I'm talking about.
I'll
Coming up in
talk
a
to you, Papa.
few days. Thank you, brother.
Get some
Peace.
sleep.
Yeah, that well.
Let's
Don't
go,
tell
Knicks.
don't tell nobody that. 'Cause I'll be in trouble.
Later.
Yo, shout out to Keith, man. Shout out to Keith. And listen, guys, I'm going to continue a little bit of the conversation, but I also want to get the hell out of here before the game starts. And I want to do a couple of things as the game starts and stuff like that. But just to finish up, listen, I don't know whose fault it is, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know whose fault it is, but I think there's evidence there where I think Jeremy Barnes is more of a problem than Eric Chavez. And the numbers, in my opinion, bear it out. What we didn't get to was 2024. What 2024 started as a shit show and then turned around. And we saw that article. I don't have it here, but that Keith and myself referenced where Lindor talked about, yo, what's going on? We need to hear from you. Right? So how do we know that that's not how 2024? Of course, with Lindor going to the leadoff spot and all that good stuff, but that's how things started turning around there. Where in 2024, again, they had better numbers than in 2023. So in 2022, they will go from 4 to 27, back down to 10 in hits. 22, 23, 24. Home runs, they actually went down. Okay, Chavez not the home run guy. RBIs go back up to 735. So from 19 and 23 on the Chavez, back up to 735. I mean, with Barnes in 23. And then Chavez back in charge in 24, back up. What else is important here? Batting average, back up from 26 to 12, from 238 to 246. Base percentage from 20th to 9th. Slugging, 18th to 9th. OPS, 18th to 9th. OPS plus, 16th, and I didn't write down what they ranked there. But whenever Eric Chavez has been in charge as a hitting coach, they've been better. Now this year, I'm not sure what the hell is going on. They want to do this controlled aggression thing. It's not working. A lot of it has to do with execution. One thing that I wanted to touch on with Keith that I didn't get to get on is we talk about hitting coach and these guys and this and this and that. And I've said this before, ladies and gentlemen. Almost all of these guys have their own hitting coaches outside of the team that they work with in the off season. And if they don't have a hitting coach, they go to some drive line or some other nonsense to go and work on their craft. Very few of them do what Jeff Nimmo did. Very few did what Jeff Nimmo did. I mean, Jeff Nimmo, Brandon Nimmo did, and work with Jeremy Barnes in house to try to make those changes. The reason why I say Jeff Nimmo is because this is another thing that I want to look at real quick is, and more because Jeff McNeil also made some changes before this season with Jeremy Barnes. But what's important is we talk about pitching lab. Why don't the Mets have a hitting lab? Why don't the Mets have a hitting lab? Why don't the Mets have a hitting lab? And I've been telling people they do have a hitting lab. The pitching lab doubles as a hitting lab. But what do we know, ladies and gentlemen? What do they always tell us? The pitching lab is just not the lab, the physical lab. The pitching lab is everything. It's Jeremy Hefner. It's the analytics department. It's the pitching lab itself. It's whoever the hell is involved. It's the development guys. It's everybody. That's the pitching lab. But that physical lab also doubles as a hitting lab, and they talk about it here. Let me bring that up real quick. Sorry. Share this one. And we're going to do this. No, not that. Not that. Heck, not that. I'm sorry. So what happens when you try to do things too fast? All right, here we go. So here, after another season that fell short of his own expectations, Jeff McNeil arrived for camp with the New York Mets for an explicit goal. I'm taking this spring super seriously. Blah, blah, blah. What's this stuff about the pitching lab? Also, and so on Saturday, McNeil made his first visit to the Mets hitting lab at Clover Park. Standing on fourth place, monitored by cameras all around him, McNeil learned that his hips were in a really bad spot, costing his swing efficiency. Just days later, he made a change that was leading to better results. So there's a hitting lab, ladies and gentlemen. The problem is, in my opinion, that the hitting lab, as it pertains to the coaches and the guys maybe reading the analytics and all of that stuff, hasn't caught up to the pitching lab. And that's what we need. We need the hitting apparatus to catch up to the pitching apparatus completely so that we could be good. And Steve Cohen talks about that himself. He says, see, let's make this a little bit bigger for you guys. We're still trying to figure it out from a hitting perspective. Steve Cohen said Tuesday during a wide-ranging session with reporters. But if we can do that, then that would really be a leap forward. That would be an exciting prospect. So they're still trying to figure that out. Eventually, it'll catch up. But ladies and gentlemen, the point it is again, I don't know who the issue is, but I think Eric Chavez catches too much heat, in my opinion. And I think what Eric Chavez teaches and tries to teach is actually better than people give him credit for. I think the problem comes in translation. I think the problem comes. Listen, I've said this before. Not everybody needs to know percentages of what pitches and all of that nonsense. Maybe some guys just need to go up there and hit. You know? Maybe some guys just need to go up there and hit with the idea, okay, I know what this guy throws. I know what he throws when he's ahead on the count, and I know what he throws when he's behind in the count. And that's that. None of this, okay, on 0-0 count, he'll throw 70% fastballs, 13% curveball, blah, blah, blah. On a 1-0 count, this percent is this percent that. Like, what is that nonsense? What is that? And I think that's why sometimes we see guys and we're like, okay, this is an obvious fastball count, or this is an obvious breaking ball count, and they up there and they look confused as hell. So we'll see how it goes. At the end of the day, man, it comes down to the players. Like Keith said, the players need to get the job done. The players are the ones that need to get the job done. And I keep saying it. These guys are not telling, yo, Soto, you got to do this, you got to do that. I'm sorry, they're not. They're asking him, what do you need from us to do what you got to do? Now, maybe now that he's struggling now, maybe they're trying to watch film and maybe they'll find something like, yo, last year you this, last year you were doing this. Are you changing that on purpose? Maybe we should go back to that. And hitters do that on their own too. But ladies and gentlemen, it's almost game time. And you know what it is, man. Let's go out there and get another dub. Maybe tonight is the night where this offense breaks out for real and goes on a stretch against these scrubs where we can stop talking about all of this nonsense. Hey, another thing is the weather's getting nice. That should help, especially at Citi Field. Trust me, I've been at these games. Hey, Lisa. My homie Lisa's at these games. Patty, who's in here. Patty, who probably left to watch the game. Like, this guy had to talk so damn much. I got to hear him at the games, and I'm hearing him here. Patty's at these games. They'll tell you it's cold as hell. My guy Jeffrey's at these games. Right? So hopefully the weather improves. And we'll see some of those balls that are dying out in the warning track actually get out of the ballpark. Before we get out of here, let me shout out my guy Intellectual. You see him here as Eduard Peña. Happy birthday, my bro. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. That was Keith. That was Keith, man. That was Keith, Shane Sons, man. Again, shout out to Keith, and thank you to Keith for joining me for the quick conversation. And we'll revisit it. We actually have something planned that hopefully goes through. Waiting on a couple of other things, and we'll see how that goes. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's enjoy a nice ball game. We're not doing a live watch today. So if you saw this open, you say, oh, live watch along. Psych. We're going to chill. We're going to relax. And we're going to try hard as hell to stay up to watch both of these games. See if these Mets can get this series. Listen, coming into this series, 9-game homestand. Not coming into the series. Coming into this 9-game homestand, I told a few people, yo, because I'm greedy. 7-2. But I really want 8-1. That's insane, Hector. I don't give a damn. We're playing 2 scrub teams and the Dodgers. You take 2 from the Dodgers? You tell me we can't sweep 6 games from these 2 teams, from the White Sox and the Rockies? We did it earlier in the season against some scrubs. I forgot who the hell it was. What was it? We swept the homestand against the Phillies and the Cardinals, wasn't it? Well, we took 2 from the Dodgers. We just won the first one against the White Sox. You know what I want, right? I want 8-1. Anything less than 7-2 is unacceptable. Go out there and get a dub tonight, man. Don't worry about the lineup, ladies and gentlemen. We said Jared Young might go deep yesterday. We're not going to go that far today, but maybe he does it today. These guys like doing that to me sometimes. They'll do it the next day. But don't worry about the lineup. That lineup right there is good enough to kick the White Sox ass. Go out there and do it. Let's see if McGill comes with his A game, whatever the hell that is. Other than that, let's go Knicks, man. Even this series up. Come back to the Garden 2-2 so we could keep handling business. And then FGM, man. Love you guys. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for keeping me company. Everybody have a good night. Peace.
My clique full of animals and we made ourselves with minimal. Fuck you, no subliminals. Putting in this work, nigga. That's why they feelings hurt, nigga. Swear we need a hearse cause we rep our shites to the dirt, nigga. If I'm in the club, I'm